Hello folks, we're back again to talk about The Witcher. This is a game I believe will be one of the games of the year. I think that this is the one, this is that super exciting game that you waited on and waited on and waited on, and it finally arrived and it really paid off.
Absolutely, yeah. If it's not one of the top games of the year, it should be.
Yeah, the TLDR spoiler. This video is just about the core box. Now we're going to explore two very logical next steps as far as like adding in expansions. The Skellige, I hope I'm saying that right. Expansion and the mages, which we just played with. But we've had a lot of games with The Witcher, and a lot of different play counts too, right? You've done like 3-player and 2-player.
Yeah, we basically just haven't done 5 or solo yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main core gameplay that you're expecting to get out of The Witcher, I think we've, between the both of us, have gotten that at this point. So, and it's been like what I've had like 4 games of it now, I think. Yeah, and you've probably had about the same.
Yeah. And it's definitely enough to kind of get a sense for how we feel about the mechanics and how it goes out. Now we had some issues in the very beginning, kind of like absorbing all the rules and kind of and even trying to explain rules that confused us. We were still confused to some degree.
Yeah. There are a little bit of nuances in some of the rules and some little like sequences that can trip you up. We actually did do a video talking about some of those rules that you may have missed, and also got quite a bit of comments as well that amended in the pinned comment to add to that, both fixing stuff that we explained incorrectly and some rules that were definitely worthy of mentioning too that we did not pick up to discuss on that video. So if you haven't check that out too, and definitely look at the pinned comment. Don't just take the video by itself.
We are definitely just two dudes that love board games and are very irresponsible in our shopping habits. Yeah. So take everything we say with that grain of salt. We don't do this for a living. We aren't paid to do this. This is very much an after hours. We both worked a full day today. Yep. It's 9:00 at night, and we're talking to you about board games.
Yeah, because it's important
on the internet. Because it's important to us. We want to express ourselves about how much we enjoy some of these things. So anyway, of course we like it, but we're going to have to dig a little deeper and maybe find a criticism. Do you have one criticism for this game?
Okay. If I want to bring up one criticism, well, first off, the game, and I'm probably stealing one from you if I'm talking about this, because I know this is one of the things that Sean's mentioned, is the game, it runs just a little long to get through, like in a 2-player game. You should be able to get done with it in 3 hours, but by the time you're joking around and kind of, playing around and getting all the way to the very end, it can be more like a 4-hour game. But for me, like, it wraps up really quick, and the end of the game, like you get really powerful, and you want to use all this power that you've acquired as you've been running around the board, and then it really just kind of becomes a race to get to the monsters before everybody else does, to catch those last trophies or catch the other Witcher, which is a big gamble because the Witchers are difficult to defeat. Like your other players are certainly a challenge, probably beyond most of the monsters, especially once you get to the end of the game.
Yeah, none of the monsters are. I think what's hurt us a lot. Like time is the amount of time it takes to play this has been my biggest beef with this game. It's the one that kind of makes me wonder if I should bring it out with certain people and stuff like that, or in certain scenarios. Yeah. Other than the fact that I tend to want to bring the whole big box everywhere I go. Yeah. Well, I could totally scale it down and not do that, but I want to bring it all. I don't know. I'm not going to play with all of it, but I want to bring it all. Anyway.
Yeah, and it is a nice thing that I think they really constructed the box really, really well for a game that's just coming like to you with the trays and everything. And this is us talking from the Kickstarter version. I I'm not 100% if they're bringing out the big box and
I
the
don't think
retail
so.
or not. Yeah.
No, the retail version is just going to be like a regular size
Yeah.
a small box, but and that's what we're going to be covering here. But I've got a lot of other stuff out, like I've got the neoprene mat out, which is really nice. It's a nice mat and stuff, and we've got a couple of other expansions. But what's interesting about this game is it's got a lot of flavor, and you can, and it's really easy to teach. So here the the theme is perfect. I'm kind of a junior spaceman with the Witcher stuff. You've been reading it, and you're super.
This is sorry to cut you. I was just gonna say this is the second board game that has caused me to go through a whole series of the books it was based off of. I did that with Red Rising as well. I really enjoyed. Red Rising's a pretty simple card game.
Oh yeah.
But it was just interesting enough, and I realized I was like, it was a good enough like book that they wanted to make a board game over it. So I went back and read through all of those, and now I'm like four books deep into The Witcher just because of playing the board game. So
well, even I was playing this game with another friend of mine who's a huge fan of the video games and has played all the way through all the video games and stuff. And they're reading cards and going, "Oh, that's that spell or that's that thing," and stuff. And they're like recognizing all this stuff that I never would have picked up on the cards, like this different spells and stuff. Yeah, what they're called.
The guys that created this game, or the main, there's one main person. I'm not sure of his name off the top of my head, but they're definitely huge fans of the world, and they really poured a lot of that fanfare into this whole world that they've created. And just like Sean's saying, it's represented really well, even in the aspects of the video game that was so popular. It's the third game, I think, in the series, but it's the first one that really was popular was the third Witcher. And like he's saying, you've got a lot of things that are like, I don't know if all of these monsters are, like, show up in the books, because like in the books there's it's a whole lot more going on than just monster hunting. There's actually not, like, at least from where I'm at, there's not a huge amount of monsters showing up, but there's a lot of monsters kind of mentioned here and there. But most of these, I think, are coming from the video game. But they did a really good job on, like, getting that content, getting all that fanfare into the game.
It's a really good adaptation. So what The Witcher is, in its core, is an adventuring game. It's a competitive adventure game. And you're traveling around the map. You've got a lot of hand management. You basically got a bunch of cards. And down in the corner, and they're multi-use cards, like they do different things in different parts of the game. And in this part here, where you're moving around, you're going to play a little sign of what there's three, and then there's a wild one that can go to anything. Yeah, so you got water, mountains, and forest. And you play a card with a forest on it, and you can go to a place that has a forest if it's connected by one of these paths. In each of these locations, there's a little action box with a very intuitive set of graphics that are language free. Yeah. that you can look at and see how to. Usually, you're going to be upgrading your tableau. So your tableau will have like a list of skills, and you get to kind of level them all up. And the more you level them up, the more effective you'll be in battle, and so forth. You can battle either with other Witchers or with monsters by getting on the same node and deciding to fight them. And when you do, you're going to take all your cards into your hand and you're going to play them off. These cards have a series of tabs and other things to kind of make combos. We found we'll cover that more in the expansion video, but we found that the mages had a lot more combos than the Witchers do.
Yeah, probably so. At least right off the bat. The core part of this game really is the deck building that you're doing with your hand. You do get the whole feel of getting to adventure around while you're doing that, but the real core of it is the deck building. But it's not like, I wouldn't just call this like it's not just a deck builder. It certainly has a fair amount of like those RPG elements, like he was saying, where you're moving up in all your skill tracks and just making yourself generally more powerful.
It's like that chef's kiss of like little extra. Here's a little adventure in here. Yeah. Here's a little upgrades for your stuff. Here's here's a little individual power that you've got.
Yeah, but you, even with your powers and stuff, like you have to have a decent deck, and it's not like it's not like you have to be like a super smart deck building player or whatever to build a decent deck. They more or less will come together on their own. You might find some certain colors because the cards will combo off of into other cards, but not all of them do so. So they have these little tabs that'll show you the next color card that can be on it. And so there's like five different colors of cards. And so you'll find that maybe there's certain cards that you are picking because you know you have cards that'll combo into it. But otherwise, it's not like it's not a difficult deck builder. So I think that comes
the
out
strategy
well.
changes throughout the game.
Yeah.
So what happens is you play cards out of your hand to move around the map, and then in the second phase, you're either going to fight with something that you're on a node with, or you have a little adventure and you can go to town and choose A or B, and something happens. And all of them have been pretty amusing.
Yeah.
Like some of them are really funny, like getting
really funny.
sneaking up on a troll to get earwax out of it and then trying to sell it in some other part of town. And then you've got woodland adventures too, which are, I haven't seen a big distinction between the two. Like I know I should be noticing probably, but I guess they kind of take place more in a outskirts setting, but they've all been like, you've encountered someone on the road and stuff. They seem like you're traveling between places.
Yeah, you're kind of getting more or less like similar rewards as far as what we've played through. I don't know if you really analyze the cards, there may be something, but that really spells them differently from one another. But it's more or less just like, what adventure do you want? Do you want to interact with people in the town and read flavor text that involves something in the town, or do it out in the woods and you may pick up quests where it's involved with other people, maybe more in the city, like maybe there's more people oriented themes in the city, but you'll certainly find people out in the woods too. But the woods might involve a little bit more of like fighting a monster, but not in the way that you do like to gain trophies on the game, just in a thematic way as you're reading through the cards. So it kind of just depends, like, what do you like? What book do you want to read? Do you want to read from being in the woods, or from being in the city? So it keeps it entertaining.
Yeah, so it's like a little tiny choose your own adventure thing that doesn't break the game. Like it doesn't like give you so much or so little, or take away. It doesn't take away so much or give you so much that it kind of like messes things up. And it gives you sometimes little side quests where you can you've got another reason to go over to another part of the map. You could very easily, if you kind of manipulated a few things, just kind of stay in one quadrant of the map if you didn't have to go anywhere else. Yeah. And it's funny, I think that those things kind of give you more reasons to kind of venture out. Then at the end of your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to buy a card from this marketplace, and they kind of come at various costs. Basically, you're going to deal your cards back into your hand. You've spent them all over here, or some of them over here, or not. And then you moved on to the phases. Now you're going to choose to discard a number of cards from your hand in order to pick something up. And it goes from 0 to it could cost you as much as like 3 cards, I guess, if you get the ones at the end.
Yeah. So that has like a common theme that they do in a lot of those like marketplaces for gaining cards, and any other games that I've seen that have something where there's somewhat of a cost, where it's like more expensive when the cards first come out, and then if they get all the way down the track, they get a little cheaper. But it's pretty intuitive, and there's like ways to manipulate it on the board a little bit, but otherwise, you're just kind of going off of whatever that card cost is, and you don't actually lose any cards, so it's like they're just going in your discard pile that are going to come back to you. So that's kind of nice, that you have to stress too hard, and sometimes it's worth it to you to spend a bunch of cards out of your hand to get the better one, but that means that you're not going to be able to do as much adventuring.
And the strategy changes, as I was saying, throughout the game. So in the beginning, you're getting those cards probably to move to a specific place on the map. You want to have something, you've already got a few cards in your hand, and you know the areas you're going to be able to move to without having to pay extra or do anything extra. They make it so you can move usually. You can pay some gold or an extra card and go wherever you want. But to go cheap, you want to have that little, and it's all about efficiency and stuff. The other thing, the reason that's a cost for those cards to go away is later on in the game you're going to be building cards to fight.
Mm-hmm.
You want to gather cards that have the appropriate combo and stuff, and whatever cards you have in your hand when you go in to start the fight is your opening fight. That's your opening. That's what you've got to work with. So if you don't have enough to kind of deal a really big first hit, and that's important, I think, in some of these things, or enough to kind of build up a defense or whatever your strategy is to win, then you won't have a lot. So if you're discarding a bunch of cards to pick up something really great, you might be starting a fight with not a lot.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, your deck of cards is your life, and so as you're doing combos, you're also expending yourself. So yeah, it's great to go into the battle with like a big combo ready to do, because you don't know what's going to come in from your deck on the next ones. And at the very least, yeah, you need to have a way to set up defense while you're taking some hits, and you're hoping those good cards are going to come into play. But you got like potions and stuff that you pick up too. That's the main way that like you're going to have extra powers is from potions, and then each one of your characters has like a special power on them as well. That can, and they're really strong too. Like whatever their special ability is usually like very integral to affecting your ability to do well in a battle. And I haven't seen any of them that are like just weak in any particular way. They're just in a different direction.
But they're always handy.
Yeah, they're very handy, and especially when your skill. I mean, and you will upgrade these skills fairly easily. Like, it's not too hard like to get around. In fact, it's probably like a problem that you'll overly focus on gaining like your skills instead of just going after trophies when you can, because the fights are intimidating. And they probably shouldn't be as intimidating. We probably got to get over being a little scared about it, getting into fights early. But
I even wonder, I'm thinking that our main criticism might just be because we were too timid to go fight those monsters earlier.
It very well could
and
be.
Probably a little too timid to fight each other.
Yeah.
because there's this real big unknown, especially when you first get a game. That first time you go fight a monster, you're like, well, okay, let's go see what that's like. And I've only actually been beaten, I think, once. Like, I've only lost a fight one time. Well, in a monster against a monster.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely lost a couple Witcher fights. But if you're the one that, one of the weird roles in the game is if you're the person who initiates the fight, then you can gain a trophy if you win. But if you lose, you just lose the, like, again, kind of like the efficiency of your turn, because you don't get to take an event. And a lot of the times the events are helpful. Even when they kind of hurt you, they're usually giving you something. Like, sometimes they'll knock your shields down, and then they give you something on top of it. Or they might like lower one skill and raise another one. So there's ways that none of them are like so scary that they're going to be a huge problem. They're usually always more helpful to you than running in and losing a battle, of course, because you don't get much for losing a battle, and you have less cards to draw.
But you don't lose a lot either. Like, you don't. I don't think it's worth being scared of, because it's more humiliating than anything else. Or it might be a little disheartening, I'll put it that way, to lose and stuff, but you're not, it doesn't set you back to the point where, oh, you can't win now.
Right. Yeah, you never die. In fact, like...
And you're not, well, and you might, you're not, if you lose and you attacked, then you're not giving the enemy anything either. Like, they're not going to get one of your trophies because they beat you when you went too soon.
Yeah, you basically just lose efficiency in your turn, because it causes you to draw less cards that you'll use for your next turn. Because each person, every turn, they're going to go through all those 3 phases. And if you don't have as many cards to use in your exploration phase, and you kind of have a weak, secondary turn where the other person's running around and beefing themselves up. So yeah, it's definitely like efficiency of movement is pretty huge in the game. So even that deck building aspect, like a lot of what you're doing with your deck building, like Sean was saying, is just like getting around the board with it, using those 3 terrain types and finding. I always wanted to make sure that if I didn't have something more real specific I was going where I needed like the same terrain types, I always wanted to have at least one of each if I could. because otherwise you have to lose like you can spend any random terrain type and a gold to move into any one spot, or you can spend 2 of a random terrain type to go into any terrain type. But that's again losing efficiency of movement when you do so.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm playing a game too, if I get I don't like to overthink a lot of these choices. When you throw 6 cards in front of me, or 7 cards. Is that 7 over there?
6.
You throw 6 cards in front of me and say choose, and all it is like a little bit of math, like as far as how many cards to discard. If it's all the same, I'll pick whatever's free at the bottom. Or any other place, or I'd basically just kind of go for wherever I need to move next.
Yeah.
If I know for sure I'm going to a forest region, I'll just pick up the forest one. And early on, I don't think about it too much. And I end up with a lot of really cool combos and stuff. Or if nothing else, just get the one with all the tabs.
Yeah.
Those every time there's a colored tab, that's another kind of card that you can throw on the end of it. And inevitably, it just makes it for a big combo that's fun to do.
Yeah. So again, your deck sort of builds it. You do have to direct it a bit, but more or less, you will, like you say, you're gonna run into having a decent deck. I mean, more like kind of regardless of what you do. I mean, that's not completely true. Again, you do have to kind of choose a little bit, but you're gonna have something pretty. You're gonna be powerful by the end, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and don't wait too long to go fight the monsters or the other people. Like as soon as you get up to that level 2, maybe even level 1 if you're feeling it. Yeah. The monsters really aren't that hard to fight, and maybe that would be a criticism of the core game, is that every monster attack is the same. They have an expansion, which we haven't delved into yet. We've looked at it and kind of explored it a little bit.
Yeah, the Monster Trail expansion takes like these. So all of your monsters, normally they just have like a little situational thing that changes on them. It might just say something like, if you don't come in attacking this guy with a trail token, then he does something worse to you during the fight. But for the most part, they're like all you got one deck of 20 cards that the monsters could be drawing from, and they'll have a number that's associated with the level of, the amount of life that they have. So if they've got 14 health, they got 14 cards, and each one of those cards either has a bite or charge option, and you choose it blindly as the person playing the monster, and then they're usually just gonna do like, either one's gonna do a little more damage, or the one's maybe a little less, or sometimes they have some
or based off some other criteria, like how much energy or shields you have or something.
Yeah, but that means though that like when you're playing the core game of it, that every one of the monsters has the same attacks. But when you include that expansion, each one of the monsters has like a large card that comes with it, and then it shows like a specific like attack that that particular monster does for every one of the cards, instead of just these generic attacks that you're getting. Yeah,
it further translates, like instead of 2 slashes is just 2 hits, that 2 slashes will be some little box of something terrible that happens to you. But it'll be more flavorful for the different monsters. Besides that, each monster has a little rule set, little tiny couple of sentences at the bottom that tells them why they're a pain in the ass for you. Yeah. But what is that called? Monster Trail. Yeah, that Monster Trail expansion adds just a bit more. So if you find that this is a little bland, that's not enough flavor for you, you could add. That's something you could add.
And I think it probably will feel that way. Like I'm at, after playing 4 games or so of it, like the next one, that's going to be definitely the next thing I throw into the game is adding some more flavor into the monsters. They do have like a special trophy on each one of them that you get that's like different from any of the other ones, but otherwise, again, they get kind of same a little bit as you're playing them.
And Owen and I bought all of it. We bought all of it all at once. Yeah. So we're gonna play with those expansions because we paid for them, and we need to do that.
Yeah, well,
and we're talking about things on the internet, so we need to do. We gotta do things to talk about. But
Yeah.
But you could buy this core box, and I think be very, very happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the game hits a really good sweet spot of mixing all these elements together. You really feel like Witchers on the board, or mages if you're playing with that expansion.
Yeah.
But you're really getting that like sense of exploration and all these like interesting events that are happening to you, and acquiring like skills that are you're getting more powerful. You're getting the fun little bit of deck building, or quite a bit of deck building, I guess, and then the battles themselves and the trophies you get off of it. It all feels really good the way everything mixes together, and because it's so much fun, just the core box. I feel like again, with us having purchased the whole set, it's pushing me more to want to explore that expansion content than a lot of these other Kickstarters that I've got, where I'm like, yeah, here's some random like just bloat that they threw into the game with an expansion, and you may or may not ever touch it, and a lot of times you don't.
Yeah.
Which is kind of shameful, but it happens more than we'd like to admit. But
this game, luckily this game was so interesting on the first couple of plays that we wanted to try other things.
Yeah.
We played it and wanted to do more with it. We wanted to add more things to it. We wanted to play it again and again and again. And playing this at 4 players, I mean, it's already a long game. 4 players is kind of a really long game, but we found it was really nice to kind of sit and play for a while, and then have dinner, and then play the rest of it.
Which is a great gaming evening, because a lot of times people are like, they have all these little small games that you're trying to fill up the time with, and you got one that's an hour and one that's 2 and whatever, and then you're like, do you guys want to play another one, whatever. This will fulfill a good game evening.
Burn it all down. Just like you got a cabin weekend where you're up there with a couple of friends and stuff, or hanging out. A couple of teenage boys on a rainy day. I wish we had this stuff when I was young. You could sit around all day and play it.
Oh man, it's better than a video game in a lot of ways, just because it's so much more interactive. So yeah, I love the game. I think they just did such a good job, like putting all these pieces together, getting all of those little fan bits of stuff that touches the video gamers and the people that know the books and stuff like that, and just creating this world where you are a Witcher and you are doing Witcher things, and it's extremely thematic.
Another thing that I really love about this game is the artwork. I really feel like I see a lot of board game artwork and a lot of fantasy stuff, and a lot of it seems kind of samey. Like it's definitely what you get out of The Witcher is just, it's not bland. Every card you see is really interesting. It's got a lot of storytelling just kind of baked into each of these cards, and all the monsters are very well described in their illustrations and stuff, and everything looks really interesting. Definitely a big thumbs up for the artwork.
Yeah, they did an excellent job, not only with the art of just like creating the miniatures that they made, but the world of The Witcher has like all of these different odd monsters anyways. So some of them are like similar, like you've got a Manicore, so there's a griffin in there. Even the griffin is like, I didn't see the griffin I know it's a big one in the video game, but regardless, their interpretations are usually a little different. But they have a lot of these just odd ghouls and things that show up that are not just your basic ghoul. They're like, they have a whole like a backstory to them, or they have
like the Noon Wraith.
Yeah, like that. She's like a spurn. Like I think it's like somebody that's
like a bride.
Like killed on her wedding day or something. I can't remember. Apologize if I'm butchering your favorite lore from the.
My favorite ghost, and you got it wrong.
But there's real interesting characters, and even like the artwork on the different monsters too has like a strong like flavor to it. That's really different. Like the Lechin has that, or Leshin, I guess it is Leshin. I keep calling it Lechin. Has like his whole ominous approach, and then the moon wraiths out with the sun, and then the video game she's kind of got the sun behind her, and and all these characters just look really neat. And the attack cards are really neat too.
Oh yeah, the attack cards are my favorite of all the artwork in the game. Maybe the monster cards too are great. Kind of in the same way. These are mostly pictures of witchers and mages and stuff, and then of course the monsters are the pictures of the creatures that you're fighting. And the sculpture matches for the most part. They seem to kind of match what these are, and they're done in kind of the artwork's done in such a way to where if you're a painter and you're trying to paint these, you can actually see what colors things kind of are. Like some of them are a little bit more ethereal, let's say, or artistic interpretations, but a lot of them seem like they've got at least you can tell what's going on in there enough to like paint them if you wanted to.
Yeah, some of them are like kind of dark. Like there's like a night wraith. It's like it's at night, so you can't see it real well.
You might be using your imagination on some of them, but
looks kind of greenish, sort of. Even not considering the background being green, but and even the potions are nice. You know, like this.
Yeah.
Swallow potions, big fiery, whatever you want to call that kind of beaker, and it's neat. They even put like different art where you've got like actual people on some of the potions, so it's not just a simple like here's a vial with a skull and crossbones and here's one with an apple in it. It's got.
There's so many games that did so much less.
Yeah.
With the artwork and stuff, but artwork is very key to making something kind of enjoyable to look at, especially if you're going to be sitting there for a few hours.
Yeah.
The way the artwork is on the board is very nicely done. This could very easily have been kind of a real boring map, like dudes on a map looking kind of thing.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. It's very purposeful. It's very Euro kind of style. Is that right? Would you say it's kind of sort of Euro? It feels like worker placement with the little things that you can do on each of the locations and stuff.
I guess the Euro effect is just seeing all the little iconography and all the different sections. But
like the little area things that you activate as you go and stuff.
Yeah, each one of the locations does have a unique look to it, and it's got an organic feel to it, so that like the trails, sometimes you have to kind of. It's not really difficult to interpret the map, but sometimes you're looking and you don't realize like one trail could also fork off into a different direction until you get kind of used to looking at the board.
Cities won't necessarily be directly connected, and you'll have to dogleg around this way or that way. But the artwork in general, just across the entire board, looks really nice, approachable, easy to read, easy to see what you need to do, but also attractive.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a real map. It's not like here's some dotted lines going over here or some arrows going to this section or anything. It looks like a hand-drawn, painted map of an area that's, not a real area, but it could be.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of realistic in that sense. So I like that quite a bit. But yeah, absolutely, the action cards are super nice, though. The mage cards are super nice. They've got some of them are really neat looking. Some of them are really like kind of horrifying looking too, with like some of the. What's that one? There's one of them there where she's like torturing somebody. It's very, very mage themed, and
yeah, we're debating on whether or not he paid extra for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, big A+ on the art.
They did good. Yeah.
So another aspect of this game that's really fun, especially for dice enthusiasts, is dice poker. And dice poker can be played at certain nodes or anytime two witchers get into the same place. Now, I had thought that other people could bet on the dice poker, but it's only the dice poker participants, right?
Yeah, we actually got the same roll on that, or the same. We both got a set of three.
Oh, that's weird.
Set of 3 6s on that roll.
We're so in sync.
4.
We're so in sync.
Yeah, that was really close. Okay, but yeah. So dice poker,
it comes with two sets. Yeah, 2 sets of custom dice, right?
Which is all you really need. Yep. They do have like probably some extra dice if you want everybody at the table to have their own dice. I guess if you're playing a 4-player game and it does take up a good bit of room and everybody's sitting around and you don't want to have to hand dice off, but I certainly didn't feel like it was a problem.
No. We just kind of put them in a central place and
Yeah.
people would grab them.
But it's super simple, easy way to do. It's definitely a lot easier than playing a game actual poker in between every time you're trying to gain a little bit of money. But
And they got cheat sheets too. Like if you're not, like I'm not a poker person or anything, but they've got a cheat sheet with the hierarchy of good rolls or good hands and stuff in poker. So it's really easy to know who wins.
And you so the most you're going to lose is like 1 gold when you do that. Which could be a lot if that's your only gold. You'll find times where you've got quite a bit of gold to deal with, and it's like a no-brainer to just try a little dice poker when you can. But it's like it's simple enough, and you do win frequently enough. I mean, it's ultimately probably it comes out to like a 50-50 or something at the end of it, more or less. But it's fun and it's quick. You just throw some dice. They throw some dice. And then you can re-roll the dice one more time, and the person who is initiating that poker game is gonna get to wait until the other person rolls first, so they can kind of play off of it. So it's not like daunting. It's nothing like going into a battle where you're like scared to do it. It's just kind of hey, let's play some. And then we even did it on the last game to see who goes first. We're like, hey, let's just play dice poker to see who goes first. And it was that quick. Like it didn't take like a long time.
It's another mini game baked into the overall feel of this game that doesn't break the theme, because that's part of The Witcher 2 is the dice poker and stuff, right?
Yeah, I guess you could get a whole set of Gwent cards if you wanted to and play a round of Gwent every time you go for money, but that would be a terribly long game.
Yeah. If you want to add an extra hour to this, we can probably figure out ways.
But they did get that portion again common in the video game where in the video game they have this card game called Gwent, and it's actually it's fun enough that they actually made an additional like add-on, like extra game or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like where they have just Gwent that people will play against each other.
Isn't that what that extra card that came in?
There might have been something that mentions.
I think there's like a little freebie Gwent card or something in there.
Oh,
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, they Kickstart. Yeah, they're trying to get you to go online and like set up a Gwent account or whatever. But it gives you that like gambling feel without having to be too complicated and make it pretty quick. So it helps.
It's neat.
Yeah, neat. It's neat. It's a good add-on or a good addition into the mix of all the stuff they're doing in the game.
There's really a lot of stuff baked into this game. The miniatures are really, really nice too. You kind of choose things with tokens and then you go find the miniature and put it down. I'm actually painting all these miniatures, and you'll be able to see them on my Hobby Saturday. I'm kind of sharing my progress every Saturday with the different things. I've made my way all the way through the Witchers and all the way through the Mages, and the next step is going to be monsters. And I'm going to kind of work my way through the little monsters, get up to the big monsters and stuff. So I'm having a lot of fun painting them. The quality of the miniatures themselves is nice. It's got that sort of harder plastic. Well, it looks like it's PVC, but I don't see a lot of like bendy parts, like a lot of floppy swords and stuff. There were a couple.
Yeah, just a little bit, but not bad.
Yeah, it takes some warm water and kind of and straighten them out a little bit, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting about these is all their bases are decorated, so they're not just their blank flat bases, which makes them a little bit more difficult to paint, because honestly that's like another surface to kind of think about and deal with and stuff. But it really, like when they're painted and on the board and stuff, it really adds to them. I think they look great.
Yeah, and they're really themed around each of the monsters. Like I didn't even realize this. Sean pulled up the Manicore, and the Manicore is literally standing on top of a horse that it had just killed and is like kind of protecting its quarry there. So that's really neat. And so you can paint up a dead horse at the same time you're painting up a big gnarly looking Manicore.
Yeah, it's like they're not just standing there. They're sort of, you got a little small story going on for what's going on. Like, what is that? Leshy has a wolf with him.
Yeah, this Lesh, and he's got a little wolf character, but he's like obviously standing on like, in the forest, like where he would be, interact, where you'd find him. Nice like little leaves and stuff that are all individual. You can even see different types of like, the different trees and stuff.
It'd be funny if that wolf had his leg hiked up.
Yeah.
Hey, don't pee on me, I'm a tree man.
Yeah, but he always does this. He's always pissing on my leg.
Oh, Sammy, why you do that, Sammy? We both really enjoy this game. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a hit. I think it's gonna be one of those things we're talking. People are gonna be like, my favorite game of 2023. Yeah. I think it's gonna be The Witcher will be up there.
I wish I didn't miss the Kickstarter. Like, you're going to hear a lot of people saying that too. But I mean, pick up what you can. The main core box, like you said, is going to be plenty of fun for quite a while.
If you're a big box type and you track it down, we won't judge you.
Yeah, and it would be one worth. I think it is one that's worth getting.
I think so.
The whole
too.
set if you can.
Well, yeah, and if you want to go the more responsible route and just get the core box and stuff and really see if you like it first, I have a feeling that the way they package this stuff, these expansions are going to be around. There's no shortage. You got plenty of time to figure out if you want this or not. Just get the core box and get your, step your toe in there.
Get your Witcher fix.
Get your Witcher toes in the water.
Yeah. Toss a couple coins. Play some dice poker.
Toss a couple of coins to your go on board. And try out The Witcher.
Yeah.
That's our advice. They did a great job bringing this to market. I think, we've really had a lot of fun playing it. And we've had a lot of fun reviewing it. If you like reviews like this, we do it all the time. There's a link right here that you can click on and see more. If you'd like to see more of us, so we encourage you to do so. There's places over here to subscribe. You can subscribe to either of our channels, and we'd love to see you again. And there's something right here that YouTube thinks you'll like. Until next time, enjoy your games, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.